this time, because of all that I've experienced, what I've learned in this is there's 5 core wounds. Now, somebody asked me earlier in the chat, how many, core wounds are there more? There are more, and you can definitely look those up. But there's 5 main core wounds, okay? And I found this out because in this process, the biggest thing God was breaking me out of was being so committed to how I wanted things to be done. I'm very inflexible. And so it's hard for me to relax. Like if it doesn't look the way I thought it was going to look, I'm like, okay, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I'm out. And God's like, no. Just because it doesn't happen the way you wanted it to happen or how you wanted it to happen don't mean it's not happening. So God has really worked on breaking me out of my fixed vision of what things look like or what I think they should be, because that was hindering him, because God's way is not my way. His thoughts are not my thoughts. So if I'm expecting God to move the way I move, I'm also expecting, I'm saying I'm a God. I have God-like thoughts and I have God-like vision, and I don't. We were made in the image of God, but we are not God. So when he kind of was convicting me about this, there were some things that I want you guys to really know. There are 5 core soul wounds. The first one is so every core wound, before I start reading this off, every core wound has a mask. And a lot of times, especially for myself, a lot of times there's the way that you identify the core wound is going to be the mask that you wear. All right. So as I read these core wounds and I say mask, you'll be like, oh, I do that. And that might be something that you need to look into more. You are not limited to 1 core wound. I have 3. I'm being honest with you. Some people have, they say you have it. Everybody has at least 1. So you can have all 5 of them. And like I said, there are more, but these are the 5 main ones. And for you guys who are like, okay, now that I know I have a core wound, what does that mean? Look into your core wound. Understand how your core wound manifests in you. And in that, you then take it to God. You're like, listen, I don't want this. The Bible talks about the refining of Christians as it would the refining of metals like gold and silver. And what they do is they put gold and silver in hot furnaces and they raise the temperature to 7,000 degrees. In this, the impurities rise to the top. And with the person that's working the gold or working the silver, what they do is they keep wiping the impurities off the top until it's transparent, until they can see their reflection in it. That's how you know there's no more impurities in gold and silver, is that you can see your reflection. And so what you'll find is that if you keep giving God your impurities, God is going to wipe them off the top. It's not about you trying to figure out how to stop it or not to do it or this, that, and the third. It's about you being able to say, God, I struggle here. This is an area of a core wound. I don't really know how to heal this. Help me. And that's a daily thing, because we've had these core wound issues for years, for decades. Some of us don't know our lives without them. So you have to continue to, surrender those things and see if your core wound is speaking up. Your core wound is talking, or is you talking, right? So here we go. First one, like I said, it helps you to identify your wound by identifying the mask you wear. Okay. So then first core wound is rejection. The mask that person wears tends to be a withdrawer or stonewaller, somebody that withdraws. They tend to withdraw into their own world a lot. That is somebody that is possibly more than likely dealing with the core wound of rejection. And this is somebody that doesn't want to be in a position of vulnerability, doesn't desire to be rejected again. So they do not put themselves in positions where that can happen. All right. They actively avoid those situations. A person with a rejection wound feels unworthy of love and often withdraws to avoid further rejection. Now, family, please take the ego out. Don't allow your ego to speak. I ain't afraid of nobody turning me down. I'm me. Blah, blah, blah. No, that's not real. Real fake stuff don't get healed. Real stuff get healed. So if you're struggling with that, you don't have to say it in the chat. You don't have to say it to me, but you definitely want to be able to say it to you. Admit it to yourself. Accountability is key. We can't expect other people to be accountable. We're not being accountable. If you wear the mask of withdrawing, that's your thing. You probably struggle with or have had struggle with rejection. You might have had a traumatic rejection experience and it's caused you to push people away, keep them at arm's length and say, listen, I'm only going to let you get so close because I've been rejected before and it hurt and I don't want this to happen again. I was rejected by a parental figure. I was rejected by a childhood friend. I was rejected by a team. I was rejected by something that was extreme, that was traumatic for you. It doesn't have to make sense to nobody else. You were overlooked. There's different people in the Bible that struggle with rejection. Okay? So rejection. A person with rejection wound feels unworthy of love, often withdraws to further rejection. I'm not going to let you get close to me to hurt me. So I'm just going to keep you right here. Right there. Nope. And so the very love that person desires, they push away. The very thing that they want, they push away. Because they're afraid of it. I don't know. So they push it away, push it away, push it away. And that's because of the fear. They don't want to put themselves in a position where someone can come in and hurt them again. They don't feel like they can handle that. Not again. They struggle with perfectionism. They have a tendency to escape reality, maybe in video games, watching content, whatever they're into, they escape to their work. I saw a lot of like video games though. Video games like their own reality. They have their own world. They escape the reality for their reality. All right. And they're attracted to the intellectual and spiritual world. So they're very intelligent. Documentaries intrigue you. You like being educated. You like learning, and you like the spiritual world. You are into your faith. You be watching your sermons. You be watching your stuff. You're there. But there's something about you that keeps you at arm's length with people. You don't let them get too close. You want closeness, but you don't let them get too close. You desire that, and if somebody is not threatening, like they don't threaten you, you let them closer. You can't really hurt me, so I'm gonna let you close. You can't really hurt me, so I'm okay with that. The problem is that you're sabotaging yourself. You don't even realize it. It is a strong form of self-sabotage. Strong. Because the very thing you desire, you push away. You cannot allow this wound to dictate, because there's going to be things, opportunities, and a lot of times it's love, right? You are allowing this, and there's y'all, God connecting you with somebody that's for you, that yes, the person that you're pushing away, that you want close, that person God may be dealing with you in that area to say, stop. No, I'm here with you. You ain't got to fear that. But because we're afraid, we don't listen to God. We say, no, I don't know about that, God. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to do that. No, I'm going to let this less threatening person in, who, y'all, a lot of times these less threatening people are the Delilahs and the Jezebels. Just being honest. And when I say Delilah and Jezebel, I'm not limiting that to just a female. Delilahs and Jezebels can be men. It's a spirit. And that spirit is meant to take you away from purpose. So you might be thinking they're less threatening, and the enemy wants you to think they're less threatening. Absolutely. So that you can stay right there, and he don't have to worry about you getting to purpose. He don't have to worry about you getting to peace. He don't have to, because now you're going to just continue to seek external means or lesser means to fulfill higher needs. And you're going to be on that trajectory for the rest of your life. You're going to be on a hamster wheel. And there's going to be things that God has planned for you specifically that will not manifest. because you're allowing this rejection wound to keep you stuck. Do not let it. If you identify the wound, address it. And I'm not saying address it with people. I'm saying address it with God. Address it with somebody you are strong with in the faith. Like somebody that you have as an accountability person, somebody that you know you could talk to about God. Address it with somebody you trust in faith. Don't just share it with your mama and your daddy. Sometimes they're not equipped to be able to handle the things that you're dealing with or where God is moving you to. Okay? Abandonment wound, number 2. The mask that person wear is codependent or dependency. Somebody who can't, they struggle with being alone and they struggle with feeling alone. So their fear is loneliness. A person with an abandonment wound struggles with deep sadness, a need for attention, and difficulty functioning independently. They need constant reassurance. Merge into other people's emotions. They fear loneliness and may create drama or overextend themselves to feel valued or supported. So somebody who's dependent, somebody who can't be alone, I've met people that I can smell they're codependent. And they try to put up that, oh, I'm good, blah, 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 blah. You in a broken relationship. You won't leave it because you're afraid to be alone. It's great to feel big and bad when you're not alone. But when you get into a relationship, when you get out of that relationship, can you be alone? That's why when people say, I can't be alone, that's a problem. You need to face that. You need to face that. Don't allow yourself to get into that. Do not allow yourself, no. You need to face loneliness. You need to experience loneliness. Why is loneliness so scary for you? No, deal with it. Deal with the uncomfortability. What is loneliness bringing up? That's probably where God needs you to be to heal you, to set you free. You've got to dig into it. Don't run from it. Dig into it. Number 3 is humiliation. Humiliation. And this is a lot with people that have been bullied. Or maybe their family was like, they kind of was hard on them in that way. Like they made jokes about them. You know, people that they dealt with a relationship where somebody constantly made jokes about them and how they looked or how they went about things. The mask that person wears is the self-punisher or the martyr. That means somebody that constantly puts themselves in positions of pain, or extending themselves, or, oh, I have to do this for my family. I got to do this. I got to do that. Like they're always feeling the need to be somebody victim. Not a victim, but they harm themselves. They basically hurt themselves before anybody hurts them. Like they're going to tell the joke on themselves before anybody can say the joke. They're going to think of what somebody could say about them before they're stealing the joke from them. You always say that, like when people are, dealing with certain things and you arguing with them, you basically take the argument from them. Right? You take the argument from them. So you basically say, I know you're going to say this, this, and this, but this is why that's not true. You take the joke from it. Okay? So that person is like, they punish themselves. They make themselves the butt of the joke before anybody else does. They put themselves in positions of pain or sacrifice before anybody else does. They feel the need to do that. They tend to overextend themselves to the extent where there's always something going on. Oh, I had to give somebody money. I had to do this. I had to do that. And that's the mask they wear. The mask they wear is like overextending themselves into a place where it hurts them. The freedom, their fear is freedom. A person with a humiliation wound keeps themselves constantly busy, helping others to reduce guilt and avoid personal freedom, which they fear due to a lack of limits. Beneath their humble exterior, because they're usually very humble, they're very humble, they're very accountable, they'll say things that you just feel like they're just an amazing person. Not that they're not an amazing person. That's not the point. But they come off very, very, very humble. Beneath their humble exterior lies a hidden pride, a fear of sensuality, and a deep need to sacrifice themselves to feel worthy and avoid judgment. That is the fear. That is humiliation, where you've got to make yourself the butt of the joke. You've got to be the one who's putting themselves out there always. You just don't want to be humiliated, right? You've been humiliated. Maybe there's some life circumstance that happened where you feel like maybe you faced bankruptcy. Your family knows it, or you had a drug issue and everybody knows it, and it was embarrassing for you, the levels that you went to or what happened. You feel the need to overextend yourself to prove yourself, to prove it. It's to ease the guilt of the things that you've allowed happen to yourself. You used to allow people to see happen to you. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, y'all. Let's not just be every once in a while. Let's become family, okay? Friends that are family, okay? Join my family today.